The book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, lays the foundation for the Judeo-Christian worldview. It tells the story of creation, the origins of humanity, the consequences of sin, and the beginning of God's relationship with his people. The book is traditionally attributed to Moses and is divided into two major sections. Primeval history, chapters 1 to 11, which covers creation and early humanity, and patriarchal history, chapters 12 to 50, which details God's covenant with Abraham and the lives of his descendants. Primeval history, Genesis 1 to 11. Creation, Genesis 1 to 2. Genesis begins with the account of creation. In 6 days, God creates the world, light and darkness. Day 1, sky and waters. Day 2, land, vegetation, and seas. Day 3, sun, moon, and stars. Day 4, birds and sea creatures. Day 5, land animals and humanity. Day 6, on the seventh day, God rests, establishing the Sabbath. Genesis 2 provides a more detailed account of the creation of humanity. God forms Adam from the dust and places him in the Garden of Eden. God creates Eve from Adam's rib to be his companion. They live in harmony, walking with God and tending the garden. The fall of man, Genesis 3. Eve is deceived by the serpent, Satan, into eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which God had forbidden. She gives the fruit to Adam, and their eyes are opened. They realize they are naked and hide from God. As a result, God pronounces judgment. The serpent is cursed to crawl on its belly. Eve and all women will suffer pain in childbirth. Adam and all men will toil to produce food. They are banished from Eden, and an angel guards the entrance to prevent their return. Cain and Abel, Genesis 4. Adam and Eve's sons, Cain and Abel, bring offerings to God. Abel's offering is accepted, but Cain's is not. Out of jealousy, Cain murders Abel. God punishes him by making him a wanderer, but he also places a mark on Cain to protect him. The genealogy and corruption of humanity, Genesis 5, 6:8. Genesis 5 lists the descendants from Adam to Noah, showing humanity multiplying. However, by Noah's time, humanity is corrupt. The sons of God take human wives, and Nephilim, giants, appear. God regrets creating humans and decides to wipe them out, except for Noah and his family. The flood, Genesis 6:9, 9:29. God commands Noah to build an ark to save his family and 2 of every animal. The flood covers the earth for 40 days and nights. After 150 days, the waters recede, and the ark comes to rest on Mount Ararat. Noah sends out a raven, then a dove, which eventually returns with an olive leaf, signaling the flood is over. After leaving the ark, Noah builds an altar to God, and God makes a covenant never to flood the earth again, marking it with a rainbow. However, Noah later gets drunk, and his son Ham dishonors him, leading to a curse on Ham's son Canaan. The Tower of Babel, Genesis 11. Humanity unites to build a tower to reach the heavens. God confuses their language, scattering them across the earth and halting their plans. Patriarchal history, Genesis 12 to 50. The call of Abraham, Genesis 12 to 25. God calls Abram, later Abraham, to leave Ur and go to Canaan. He makes a covenant, promising, Abraham's descendants will be a great nation. They will inherit the land of Canaan. Through them, all nations will be blessed. Abraham's journey includes conflicts in Egypt, separation from his nephew Lot, and a covenant renewal where God promises him a son. Ishmael and Isaac. Since Sarah is barren, she gives Abraham her servant Hagar. She bears Ishmael, but he is not the child of the promise. Later, Sarah miraculously gives birth to Isaac. Sodom and Gomorrah. God destroys Sodom and Gomorrah for their wickedness, sparing only Lot and his daughters. Lot's wife turns into a pillar of salt for looking back. The testing of Abraham. God commands Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. Abraham obeys, but God stops him and provides a ram, confirming his covenant. Marriage of Isaac. Abraham sends a servant to find a wife for Isaac. The servant is led to Rebekah, who marries Isaac. Jacob and Esau, Genesis 25 to 36. Isaac and Rebekah have twins, Esau and Jacob. Jacob, the younger, tricks Esau out of his birthright and blessing. He flees to his uncle Laban, where he marries Leah and Rachel, working 14 years for them. Jacob wrestles with God and is renamed Israel. He reconciles with Esau and returns to Canaan. Joseph's story, Genesis 37-50. Jacob's favorite son, Joseph, has prophetic dreams. His jealous brothers sell him into slavery in Egypt, where he rises in Potiphar's house, but is imprisoned due to false accusations. In prison, Joseph interprets dreams, and Pharaoh later calls on him. Joseph predicts 7 years of famine and 7 years of plenty, and Pharaoh makes him second in command. Joseph and his brothers. The famine drives Joseph's brothers to Egypt for food. Joseph tests them, then reveals his identity. They reunite, and Jacob's family moves to Egypt, where they prosper. Jacob's blessings and death. Jacob blesses his sons, prophesying their futures. He dies in Egypt, but is buried in Canaan. Later, Joseph reassures his brothers, saying, "What you meant for evil, God meant for good." Joseph dies at 110, asking that his bones be taken to Canaan. Themes and significance. God's sovereignty. He controls history and works through human failures. Faith and obedience. Abraham's and Joseph's faithfulness contrast with human sin. Covenant. God's promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob shape Israel's destiny. Sin and redemption. From Adam's fall to Joseph's forgiveness. Genesis highlights sin's consequences, but also God's grace.